Okay, my friends, another shocker du jour. I've been talking about Mars for years and years. 2014, 2015, they had the Curiosity rover up there. And they went to Mars, so just get off of that stuff. They went up there and they sent back pictures, which I studied in great detail, and I know exactly what they are. And here they are now in 2023, up there again with Perseverance, which is another rover, and they're saying, "Oh, what could have caused this and what could have caused that?" They refused to engage in the first mission, things that were revealed, and I'll show you what was revealed, and they're not disputable. They just walked away from them. They're looking for bacteria. I'm showing them that Mars was just like Earth. It's all biology, same thing. And it was hit by Venus after it wiped our planet clean almost on Earth of life. And this was all recorded 3,500 years ago. This is why it freaks them out. They just won't engage in discussion because it overturns everything. And that's what I found 100% in science. As soon as you overturn a dogma, you're not allowed to speak. All right, say they sent Perseverance rover over here to this, what they call Jezreel crater, which they're hoping to find microbial life. Let me show you what they did find 7 or 8 years ago, and they can't accept the truth. They can't handle the truth. You see, they're talking about pareidolia, people seeing things and they just make it up in their own minds. Okay, let's see what they have to say. Perseverance's mission goes on. Now, so far, all they've been saying that we're looking at things and guessing this is that, but we all are built to see things and assume things that just aren't real. So let's hear what they have to say.
His mission goes on. In his effort to uncover the truth, he will have to uncover the tiniest of details. However, what I've come to realize is that one of the biggest hurdles it must overcome is us. It is almost impossible to completely remove bias from ourselves, and yet biases can cause us to interpret data in such a way as to allow ourselves to be fooled by tricks and illusions. Although NASA was quick...
All right, it just goes on to say, well, there's really nothing there. People are making up these things, but as I showed you, or will show you, it's absolutely there. And I want to talk to somebody that is, again, an anatomist, doctors, physics people, anybody that works on the body, sports therapy people, they'll understand this. There's no question whatsoever. Any doctor, any anatomist, any autopsy guy, and I have showed it to some, and they say, yes, you're absolutely right. Don't mention my name. Okay, my friends, get ready. Hold on to your hats. You see this face on Mars? I don't agree with that's a face. There's no way to think that's a face at all. But they think we're looking at everything and we're just being fooled. This is Astrum. I'm very surprised because this appears to be a direct attack on my research showing these Mars anomalies that they never could explain from Curiosity. Now, this whole thing is about pareidolia, and you're looking at things and people see this and they're seeing that and they just have no idea what they're seeing. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I can show you what I'm seeing on Mars, and it came from Mars, from the Curiosity mission, and I'll show you it is biological, and of that there is no question whatsoever. You see this? This is the Curiosity mission. I think this was 2014. And they sent out all kinds of information, and I followed this as close as anybody could possibly get to this mission. And I looked at every little detail that they sent out, and I am going to show you right now what they did send out, and it proves the biology, and it's the same as on Earth. It's literally identical. Okay, get ready. This is case number 1. This right here is this here in a blow-up. They called it the Mars crab, and everybody laughed. Well, it's not a crab, I agree. But this is an artery, and that is the vein. They usually come in pairs. The artery brings it down, the vein brings it back. These are blood vessels that are coming out of that artery into these, what they call sarcomeres. You see these slit down here, slit over here, and slit over here, and all these tiny little slots? This artery, services the blood that is required to make that muscle work. And this, my friends, is an actual picture of what mussel sarcomeres look like. They have these stripes down here and these here, and then they're in blocks. They pinch together. That's a pinch together one, and this is a relaxed one. That's how your muscles contract. Now, there's got to be a ton of blood. That's the red stuff. And then the other stuff is the connective tissue, but it slides back and forth. And there's just literally thousands of layers, just as you saw a moment ago right there. You see these layers? What would cause that? And all of this red stuff is literally dusty blood that ran out from these tissues. There's a soft tissue in there, and then there's these hard connective tissues. Simple as that. You see this? This should blow your mind. That is interstitium in the skin, or in any fascia in your membranes and so forth. And these little balls anchor the fleshy stuff so that it comes back to where it's supposed to, so you don't go flying all over your body. Those balls are these balls right here. They call them Moki marbles. They're in Utah, Arizona, in that area. These balls are the same as these balls right here. This is the United Kingdom, Huntington Beach. This is the skin or the mucosa, which is just the coating, and this is the fleshy stuff, which is called the fascia. And the balls have come out of the fascia because they're tough. They're tough as hell. You see them? They're all over the place. And this would have been up here somewhere, fleshy stuff, and it all eroded away. On Earth, things can erode. In Mars, they can't. Well, I'll show you what these balls are in Mars. Now, don't forget. These, and they get big, big, big. These aren't even huge. There's huge, huge, huge ones on Earth as there are on Mars, I'm sure. Now, so I showed you these balls, same balls as these. Well, guess what this is? These are the same balls right here. You see? These still have the straps attached to them. Remember, there was straps attached to all those balls. If you pull the skin open here, it stretches. Here it's squished together. It's just the way it works. It's supposed to be something like this when you're just sort of relaxed and you're not pulling on something. All right, so you can stretch these. Now, on Mars, there's no water to speak of. Normally, this would have all eroded away and you'd have mud all over. Mars is just sandblasted. So you end up seeing the straps stretched, and in the mounded spots, the straps will wear away. The balls are tough. Those are the things that just don't go away. As you can see right here, they don't go away. The straps are very easily gone, and that's where these straps are right here. You see the balls? They have two types of straps. They have a springy one that lets it open back up that ball of moisture, so that you have your skin stays plump, let's say, and then you have this really fabricy, gooey stuff that lets you stretch all around. That's this. Now you see these balls? Look at this. This is what it looks like in a microscope shot in a human being. And this right here is the layers of skin that nobody knows about this. They think it's just one layer of skin. There's thousands of them almost. I don't know how many, but it's at least hundreds. And they're all over the place. And they never realized this was even here before, because by the time the autopsy people got it, it was flat. All this had gone away. They thought it was a dense wall, and it's not. This just came 2018. They did the article about it. They consider this a new organ now. They didn't realize that's where all this. Well, let me show you something. All right, what I was just showing you was tissue layers. Meet your interstitium, newfound organ. That's it right here, and this is this fluid-filled highway. And that's where all your enzymes travel through your body. But by the time they saw it in the autopsies, it was flat. They didn't know this was like a fluid-filled highway. See? Look here. Scientists discovered new organ consists of fluids-filled spaces. Again, it was flat, and they thought it was a dense mat. Now, don't forget, I'm going back to Curiosity. See this? This was Curiosity. NASA's Curiosity rover spots a strange thing. What is this? Then they just forget about it. Oh, well, have a nice day. We forgot about this. Let's just go home and whatever. But that was from Curiosity. This was from Curiosity. These are the Mars blueberries. These are nothing more than the Moki marbles, identical. No question whatsoever about that as far as I'm concerned. And the same thing with the Morse code. This is just not eroded as much as the blueberries. But it will eventually get down to where all you got is these blueberries left. And what else from Mars? Well, the crab. This is nothing more than muscle sarcomeres. There's just no way to not understand this. That's a blood vessel. And on Earth, you want to see something on Earth? You want to see blood vessels? Let me show you something on Earth. Velikovsky reported that there was a catastrophe on Earth. In Apollodorus, they recorded the fact that Typhon, this dragon, and you say, oh, Roger, dragon. Yes, dragon. And he runs all the way across North Africa. Apollodorus wrote about it. They said when he stood up, his head often brushed the stars. This is his throat. These are his dragon scales that coat his throat. All right, you see those? Those are dragon scales. It's not just mountains. Now, this is where his throat was cut by Zeus. It says in the ancient text, it talks exactly about this. He cut his throat with his great and mighty sword. Now, all of this is bodily runoff. This is the flashy stuff they have in the dragons and parades, and this is his head right here. There's his nose, comes up over the top. There's his red flaring eye, exactly what it says in Apollodorus. He spit out all these toxins right here from his throat. You see this? All of this black stuff coming down was spit to try to kill this fish. And what fish? That gigantic fish. All right, I believe that's his eye. I don't know what that is. Forget about that. This is his fin up here. These are the tail. Now, this toxin was so intense that it ate through the fish's vital flesh and through the scales right down into the vital flesh. Here's as far as it penetrated. You see it? This is it right here, coming right out of his mouth. And this is nasty stuff. This is not something you want to play around with. You see that? That's what he spit at the fish. And it ate right through his scales. All right, so here it comes down. And it got all the way down to here. So let's see what it did right here. Because that doesn't look like this anymore. This is all eaten into. And guess what's showing up in here? His blood vessels. All right, you see that? This is an artery. These are what they call blood vessels. They shoot off of the arteries. And they come down and they service all the tissues, and then they dump what's left over into the lymph nodes, into the lymphatic system, or into the veins. And this is what it is. And that's why this is still stuff growing here, because they love red blood. Anything will grow in red blood. This is the middle of the desert, and stuff is growing in these red arteries. All right, it's all of that stuff. And that's, if you can't see that, get an anatomist, get a biologist, get an autopsy person, get anybody. If you can't understand what you're seeing, see this right here, look. This is feeding down all of the little blood vessels. I mean, at this point, they're capillaries. And this is where your blood pressure is established. Right at the capillaries, because that's where it transfers out from the arteries, which are pumping. There's a lot you can learn from this, but Mudfossils is amazing. And up here, you can actually see where the lymph nodes are being attacked. You see this? This is that toxin coming down. All right? And it's actually attacking, and this is a lymph node. And it's being killed by the attacking toxins. And of course the fish looks like didn't make it. So anyway, this is really what same thing is up on Mars. And again, look at this. I don't know if I showed, well, I showed you that. And this is huge stuff. This is not little puppy stuff. This is big. And this was when Mars was hit by Venus. Here's Mars. You see that? That's wider than the United States, and very deep too. Now, it looks like it smashed here and came down this way, just tore across Mars and literally destroyed it, ripped its atmosphere. And, I can't imagine the catastrophe, but that's what did happen. And here's the electrical discharges. You see this? This is on Venus. Venus hit Mars. And Venus spins backwards. Mars spins with the normal spin. Venus spins backwards. So it, bam, and it just ripped its magnetism right out of it, basically. I mean, it didn't rip it out of it, but it just interacted with it so violently that it created that enormous crater. All right, you see it? This, I believe it concussed somewhere up in here. And when I say this is all electrical discharge, you take go find a welder and ask them, what is that? They'll say there's electric discharge marks. Like, and when it came close, it just let it loose with all of the electrical discharge. Now, let me show you something else that's on Earth, which is Petra. Everybody knows Petra. You say, well, it's Petra. Correct. This, my friends, is an artery. These are sarcomeres. And I can show you very clearly. This is an artery. When you get inside, you can see the bodily tissue. This is inside Petra. This is bodily tissue. That's not just... Nobody painted that. Somebody carved that out of some dead body. Now, what dead body? I don't know. I have no idea. But it was a dead body. And right above Petra, up here, is all the fleshy stuff that's above. Because the artery only takes up a certain amount of place. And then the rest is all connective tissue and muscle. And where can I show you that? Yes, I can. Because here it is from afar. All right, there's Petra. This here was a blood vessel. That was a blood vessel. That was a blood vessel. These are all blood vessels leading towards one major artery. And that was the major artery. So they carved literally into blood there. But if you look here, you'll see all these little blocks. The same blocks that are on the side of Petra. These are all muscle sarcomeres. You see them running all these little blocks? Those are the muscle sarcomeres. This whole area was nothing but muscle. I can't account for the sizes of these things, but they were enormous. The dragon goes all the way across North Africa. And you can't dispute that. I don't care who you are. I'll talk. We'll sit down and discuss it, and we'll go into the details of it. It's got a cloaca, which is a reptilian, digestive system, same as reptiles and birds. They have the same type of digestive system. It's a cloaca. The two fluids and the poop comes together and goes out in one shot. This is where Venus was born, literally born. And that's what it says in the ancient text. Zeus, who is Jupiter, gave birth to the fiery comet Venus. And at that time it was just a fiery, glowy red or white, I don't know, whatever it was, but it came at Earth for 7 days, literally cooked Earth, and then skimmed off our atmosphere, and that was with the Great Flood. That's what created all my mud fossils, and I have them coming out of my ears, and everybody does. They're everywhere. And this is exactly what it looks like coming out of Jupiter. That's the size of Earth, which is the size of Venus, out of that red spot, which is a vagina. All right, that's the little tab that tabs in a vagina at the bottom so that it's locked into the body, literally. This is literally the hairline. All right, and the rest is pretty obvious to most people. Okay, pay attention to this. They're talking about we have biases. We think we see things, and we just latch onto that so desperately that we can't detach from it. Well, that's true, but the bias is the mainstream bias, not my bias. My bias is reality. Now watch what he has to say.
Bias from ourselves, and yet biases can cause us to interpret data in such a way as to allow ourselves to be fooled by tricks and illusions. Although NASA was quick to recognize the artificial materials as their own, it would have been easy for someone with less rigor to try to connect such discovery to alien technology. After all, the temptation is surely there. The person who proved alien life existed would forever go down in the history books. But without taking time to double check that what we want to see isn't clouding what we are seeing, we might go down in history for a very different reason. Nobody wants to be famous for being the person who saw aliens when they were only rocks and debris in a crater, after all.
Well, let me tell you something. Nobody wants to go down as dismissing reality because they have a mainstream bias, which means they are mental-sided. I got to be honest with you, I am surprised at Astrium. They have become mental-sided just like all the rest of them that think they've mastered the universe here. It's the systematic effort to undermine and destroy a person's values and beliefs by the use of prolonged interrogation, drugs, torture, etc. This is what happened is if you don't say what you're supposed to say in mainstream media, you are dismissed. You go better find another life somewhere in another country because they're not going to even ever talk to you again. There is such a bias, as he said, against discovery in the academic realm. It's disgraceful, literally disgraceful. I presented all this stuff to all the top universities, all of them. Not a single one will respond, basically. And I did all the stuff I was supposed to do. My stuff is all CAT scanned and DNA tested and all the whole 9 yards. And even Yale did, here it is right here. They did agree. They did agree, perfectly preserved, exceptional preservation, soft-bodied creatures promoted by silica-rich ocean. Exactly what I told them. And then also in this other paper from Yale, they say many of these creatures were outright bizarre in appearance, do not resemble any organism today. This is the Lydia Tarhan, the lead author. We would like to understand the relationship between these animals that evolved after this period. Was this one sort of a failed evolutionary experiment? Because they say they wiped them all off the face of the earth, and they didn't have any teeth or bones or shells or anything. They say they were all soft-bodied because they're finding them as transition, just like Caesar here. You can't find a neck in Caesar. You can see it where it was. But this is called nucleophilic substitution. They don't understand that. They don't understand the aluminum silicates and the reference to the feldspar and the bilipid phosphomembranes. I have done all that work, presented it to Yale years before they put this paper out. And then they took credit for my work. And they also said the same thing I said. Listen to this. It enabled the transformation of animals into rock to occur over a matter of hours or years rather than a usual time frame. It's because it was in this hot saltwater flood. They agree with everything I said. Only thing is they want to put it back 550 million years or some nonsense like that, which is absolutely wrong. And this was a year, they published their paper a year after I published my book, as an expose about their disgraceful interaction. No interaction whatsoever. Stay away from us. And then they took credit for my work. Now, I've been showing this evidence for well over 10 years, and they're still coming after me. I am really surprised at Astrium. I thought they would have an open enough mind to say, let's talk to somebody about this. Let's talk to a guy that has evidence like me. Instead, nobody's talked to me about it, not a single one of them. They refuse to discuss it with me because I have too much evidence. I destroy them. Literally destroy them. And here's the things that it's not just me. It's all over the place. All you got to do is look. All you got to do is look. This is from Curiosity. What the hell is that? That's not natural. So, nope, don't want to see about that. All of this stuff. And these are my mud fossils. This is nothing more than muscle. And this is all the blood coming on. These are the arteries that put the red blood into this. This is an abrupt transition where the tendon comes. And here's what it looks like in a different shot. Whoops. Here it is where you can see where the bone was. And this little spot right here is the tendon. And that is tough as hell. And that little round spot right there, this place right here, is the center of that tendon. And want to see what a tendon is? Because like I say, this is tough. This erodes fairly easily. The bone can erode fairly easily. Tendon, no. They do not erode easily at all. And here's what happened to this tendon. That's only the tendon piece. And that's that anchor I talked about. This is the center strip of it. All of these little straps are tendon straps. See them? They're all over the place. That's not just, they say, oh, there's millions of years of layers in one picture. No, it's not. There was a bone up here. This is locked into the bone. And then over here was the muscle. And it just erodes away. The bone erodes away. The tendon remains. And here it is one more time. One more time. Here's what it is. That's that piece right there. And that's that piece right in the center. That's the tough spot. The other part, it has to do a little bit of wiggling because you're moving your arms up and down or whatever this is attached to. And it has to lock into that bone. And again, I discovered all this stuff. Yale agrees. They're not disagreeing anymore. They want to take credit for it, and then they just want to never talk about it again because it's giants. It changes everything that they've taught you, 100%, and they just can't accept the truth. And it's a disgrace, really a disgrace. This is what we've come to get. You are literally destroyed. Your mind is destroyed if you go along with academia now. Your mind is literally destroyed. You are a drone, and you have no capability to think for yourself. Last word, I still love you. But, I don't see it in a real positive light if you can just dismiss everything I said. And that's what's happened right across the board, 100%. 100%.